Hello everyone, I am Saimukul. I am a student of English Care. Today I am here to talk about the devastating moment that happened to the flight Speedbird 9. It was June 24, 1982. A common flight named Speedbird 9. Its location was to its arrival time was from to deport the passengers from the London airport and its final destination was to go to Auckland, New Zealand. But between this hours, it will stop at 5 stops, like Melbourne and somewhere. It has to stop at 5 stops. And the captain's order and the crew members are totally 247, including passengers. It was a common passenger flight. The captain is Eric Moody, and a co pilot is there, and a flight engineer is on the flight. And it is ready, and the takeoff begins in 3, 2, 1. The flight gets ready to take off into the skies. As it was going all were perfect, as it was concluded as the most perfect weather for the flight to travel. As it was traveling up in the sky, suddenly, after some time, the pilot recognized that something strange was happening in the flight. But all were perfect, right? Fuels is enough, and passengers no conflicts between the passengers in the flight. And after some time going traveling somewhat time, captain has to go out into the restroom. And after he went to the restroom, and a warning signal came from the airport that one of the engines of your flight has gone. That means it is burning now. The captain didn't take it as much because he was in the restroom. While he was coming back, he recognized that a smoke was coming from a ceiling, like from the below of the flight. He didn't know what was it, but he didn't care about it it would have because it was 1990s and smoking is permitted inside the flight at that time. So he thought that someone may be smoking, but when he smelled it, it wasn't the smell of the tobacco. It was somewhat another smell, like an engine failure. So he rushed to the flight and saw that a lighting was striking the glass of the airplane. The captain, the co-pilot was a new one, and he asked the pilot what was happening there. The pilot, as he was an experienced pilot, he replied that it was because of the static electricity. Because while they are flying up in the air, the static electricity happens, and when the flight crosses it, there is somewhat lightning, and it not attacks us much. So they didn't care about it. But after some time, the smoke came. It wasn't just the ordinary smoke. It was full of carbon dioxide. Because the captain or the crew members or even the passengers didn't notice that an engine is bursting. But suddenly, some of the passengers, when she out of the window, they recognized that two engines were in a serious manner. The fire is burning on the engines. They felt so shocked because it wasn't just happened in that time. So they felt so shocked. They felt very frightened. But captain, in a calm manner, he when he saw that the engines were burning, he got so shocked. But he didn't get so much frightened because he was experienced pilot. So at that time, he recognized that the passengers might be in fear. So now anything could happen. His aim was to his aim was to depart with the pilot in the nearby airport. He stayed calm, and he thought of delivering a speech. He thought, "Ladies and gentlemen, it's the Captain Eric Moody speaking, and don't be in a fear. Just the four of the engines had gone, so don't be in a fear. We can get out of the situation right now." And the speech ended. Not only the fourth engine caught fire, all the engine, but they didn't know what was the exact reason behind this. So as they're flying up in the air, 37,000 feet, the flight is flying, no engines, all gone. The only aim of the pilot is to save the life of all the passengers. He stayed his mind calm, and as he was going in the skies, he prayed to the God as because at that time the passengers realized that they were in a very critical situation, that they're going to die. So some started to write some letters to their families, and some started to pray to the god, or even some thought of, you know they joined hands together and they stayed calm. At that time the pilot, what he know, all the engines gone, but he didn't get that much frightened. He decreased the feet of the flying altitude of the flight as it was going and going. At that time, the another reason was there was somewhat many smoke around that pilot, the flight. So he was going and going. And at that time, the engines restarted. The captain felt happily because he didn't know the reason why the engines gone failure, but the engine restarted once again. He prayed to the god and he told thanks, but it's not the end. Again, the engine got affected with the fog and it failed again. And now, in a pressure situation, because first he got attempt to fly it. When the engines were in a good mood again, he thought of increasing altitude. That was the major problem he did it at that time. So now he has to decrease the altitude to save the life of all the passengers. He decreased. And now the plane is flying at 13,500 feet. It is flying and flying. And now what happened is the engine didn't came. So he thought of searching any nearby airports nearby, because his destination was to travel from London to Auckland, New Zealand, which is located in New Zealand. It's a long travel. So with this flight he can't go away. He made some calculations that the flight will be traveling from only 23 minutes now. If and after the 23 minutes, after even 1 second, the flight will go away and we will all have to die. So he made a calculation and he searched if there was any nearby airport there, and he found it was the Jakarta airport, which is nearby. And while he started to communicate with the Jakarta International Airport Company, he told that all the four engines were gone. Please save us. We're in a devastating situation. But at that time, what the crew, what the officers thought, no, the fourth engine had gone. So it was mispronounced. So they were flying and flying. Now, now the only option for the pilot is to look for any flight nearby flying. But to his luckiness, there was a flight flying nearby. So he contacted the flight and told his situation to the pilot, and the pilot communicated to the International Airport Company of Jakarta. So and he finally landed the flight in Jakarta International Airport, and all the passengers thanked the pilot, because it was a devastating situation. All the four engines gone. But the last question is, how did it happen? Because a fog came, and after researching, after using many radars, they found that the airplane was flying up of the volcano. There was a volcano under the flight. It was the upside which the flight was flying, and at that time the volcano suddenly erupted at that time. So the fog became dried and became a little stones, and they got stuck into the flight's engines and made it to the failure. And when the pilot decreased altitude, the fog removed away. So he thought of maintaining the altitude at a very height. So now the fog again came and stuck into the flight engine. This was the reason for the revolvation of the flight number Speedbird 9, and it was a British Airways company, and it was a Boeing aircraft. This incident never happened, and Captain Eric Moody gave a heartwarming speech after that we were in the hands of the God. The God saved us, and that's all from me. Thank you. Have a nice day.